Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I just wanted to do a really quick video to celebrate, I guess, the end of a decade and do kind of a New Year's thing like everyone's doing. But I wanted to give my last book review of 2019 as well as talk about just the last book that I have finished for 2019. So this book is called Careful What You Wish For by Hallie. So I picked this book up completely on a whim. I was actually looking for another audiobook to listen to, technically an e-audiobook, because that's how I'm consuming even my audiobooks right now. It's just electronic. But anyways, I was looking for one of those. Under the search, I put in fantasy because I was thinking, ooh, like a fun magical adventure. Let's go that route. And it was one of the books that came up, so I kept expecting fantasy elements until I figured out that that's not what it was. I should have, because it does have a subheading of a suspense novel on it, but I didn't see that until I was like partway through the book. Anyways, so I was expecting like a fantasy romp that never happened, but it was still a really engaging and fun book. I have no idea why it came up under a search for fantasy novels, but it was really fun. So the general concept is we've got our main character, Emily, who has just started a decluttering business with her friend Becky? I think it was Becca. Anyways, they've started a decluttering business. And so when I was thinking it was a fantasy one, I was like, oh, they're going to go like declutter a place and they'll run into magical, fantastical adventures. That kind of plot line. It'll be a little cliched, a little Narnia, but it'll be fun. But no, it did not go that way because, as I've mentioned, it's actually a suspense novel. So some of the places that they end up getting hired to declutter for end up being involved in this big mystery that all ends up being interwoven, and it was really fun. I'm really glad I picked it up. I finished it in a day. It was only like 7 hours long, so quite possible to finish in a day. I just haven't been consuming my audiobooks quite that fast, so I wasn't expecting that I'd finish it in a day, but it was so good that I just couldn't stop, and I just wanted to see what happened next, and it was super fun, and I'm really glad it was my last book of 2019. Great way to go out with a bang instead of with a book that was like, I could have read something better, or I don't know why I finished that, I'm glad that it was one that I was excited about and enjoyed. A few minor nitpicky things I have for this book, since I don't want to get into spoilers, since it is suspense / sort of a little bit of a mystery of what is causing all the suspense. I don't want to get into that, but there are a few like writing style details that I do want to complain about. Overall, I did like Hallie Ephron's writing style, but throughout the novel, and it took me most of it to figure out what was bugging me. But throughout the novel, we've got our main character, Emily, and then through part of the story, her mother is involved in the story and the events that are taking place. And the entire time, it's like, yes, we're introduced that she has a mother and it's her mom coming to visit, but every time her mother is talked about, it's just calling her Leela, which was her name. So, I mean, fair, call characters by their name, but not once, even with like characters talking to Emily about her, do they call her like your mom, or does she say like mom to her? It's all just Leela. And I was like, this is the weirdest writing decision ever. People use that phrasing of your mom, my mom, they just throw it out there, but everyone just called her Leela the whole way through. And I was like, if you wanted to use that name, why is she the mom? Just call her mom somewhere in there, but I couldn't find any of it, and it was a little frustrating at times. Whew, yeah, but I mean, that was probably my biggest nitpick with it. Some of the story I did find mildly predictable. There are a few scenes that I was like, oh, this is suspicious, once I caught on that it was a suspense novel. And then once I caught up on a few of those suspenseful things, I was like, oh, I bet the story's going to go this way. And it mostly did. There were a few points where I was like, oh, you're actually going different, but then it swerved back to what I was predicting. So, red herrings for red herrings, I guess. I don't know. It was still really fun, and I really enjoyed it. It was maybe a little too convoluted of a plot in some ways, because as it's coming towards the end, you're like, oh, this is why they're all tied together. They were actually all basically working together. to do this thing that's been happening the entire story, and it still doesn't quite turn out like that. So that was one of the ones where it didn't quite go where I was expecting, but I feel like the plot made less sense and it didn't go where I was expecting. But overall, it was still a really fun, enjoyable read. If you're looking for a fairly fast little suspense novel to get you through the rest of the year, which you might have time to finish it by then, and or just a fun one to start the new year with, I think this would be a good place to go, especially if you like suspense novels. I am finding that that's kind of a genre that I really dig. I thought it was just Dean Koontz novels because I love Dean Koontz novels, but no, turns out I'm finding some other good suspense stuff that's not him that I'm really enjoying. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. And yeah, I hope to find a lot more fun, great reads in the new year, and I hope everyone else finds some great new reads in the new year too. This is the Imlet Harper, signing out.